Race 2 is about to get underway here for the Super Series, and with another full grid, it's going to be full action. Weather conditions are a bit brighter, so it's perfect conditions, so no excuses from the drivers today. So I'm going to hand it straight over to Andy to run you through all the action.
Thanks, Lyndsay. Cars gridding up now then in the order in which they finished yesterday's race. So it is James Keller and Simon Fleet on row 1 with Joseph Marshall-Burks and Clive Powells on the second row together. Jeremy Crook and Matt Pickford are next with George Grant and Chris Webster rounding out the top 8 on the grid. Row number 5 for Dale Crowsley and Cameron Thompson ahead of Russ Lyndsay and Alex Miller. Xavier Brook looking for a better start this time. He's got Darren Kell for company ahead of Liz Walton and Jim Hart. Jude Worley is 17th, then the 4 retirements from yesterday. Jake Swan-Dixon, Bradley Kent, Declan Lee and Sam Bailey in a different car today, with Nathan Heathcote tagging along at the back of the field. Didn't race yesterday, but Nathan is out trying to get some signatures on his licence. He is the 2017 British Rallycross champion, so he ought to be one to watch from the back of the grid. The red lights are on, they go out now, and we are away and racing in the spring sunshine at Brands Hatch. And who is going to lead into turn 1? It's another good start by Simon Fleet on the outside line at Paddock Hill Bend. Is he going to be able to keep his nose in front? No, he can't. There's contact though. Matt Pickford is around. We've got the 85 car off of Chris Webster as well, and someone else, that's the number 5 car going through the gravel of Cameron Thompson. There's another spinner, which I fear might possibly have been Clive Powells. We'll have to pick that one up in a minute, but it was carnage again, I'm afraid, at Paddock Hill Bend, just like we saw in the first race. However, unlike in the first race, there will be no red flag. This time it's just the safety car that gets called for. But again, not an ideal start to the day. Bradley Kent, unfortunately, who can't buy any luck. He was running well in race 1, had a mechanical issue. That meant that he retired, started this one from the back, and gets caught up in the contact as well. He's got damage. Leaders, though, some of them seeing the safety car boards a bit earlier than others. There is Matt Pickford's car, and it looked as though he had the contact from somebody. Didn't quite see who got up the inside, actually, but I believe it may have been Clive Powells, because they started nose to tail on the grid with Powells in front. Pickford, I think, got a good start, went round the outside, and then the two of them made contact, and that's why Powells presumably has been held up in that as well. But the safety car is out then, and the race is neutralised for the time being. That was a dramatic start to the race again, and unfortunately that's not what we wanted to see, but hopefully it won't take too long to get the cars out of the way. James Kell leads the way. Joseph Marshall-Burks has leapfrogged to Simon Fleet somewhere on the opening lap. Fleet is in 3rd position as they make their way through paddock behind the safety car. There's Matt Pickford's car on the side of the road. Can't see if there was another car. I think everyone else may have been able to leave the scene of the crime. Jeremy Crook is 4th. Russ Lyndsay, I think, is into 5th position. That's not bad going from 11th on the grid. He really picked his way through the carnage pretty well. In fact, George Grant, I think, was just in front of him. So George Grant, then Russ Lyndsay. I'm trying to look back in the field. There is the damaged car of Bradley Kent. And where is Nathan Heathcote, number 22? Couldn't quite spot him there. Clive Powells, I think, is at the back of the field. So he was definitely involved in that. Matt Pickford still in the car, just waiting for a tow out of the gravel, and then he should be able to drive back around to the pit lane under his own steam. And it's a shame for Matt, who had a solid result in the first race, didn't he? He was in 6th place, had that race-long dice with George Grant. In fact, he got back ahead of George Grant in the closing stages, and Chris Webster, actually. So 2 places gained in the last few laps of race 1. Unfortunately, race 2 doesn't even last 1 corner. There's the 116 car of Dale Crowsley. He came home inside the top 10 in his first ever Super Series race. 9th place in race 1 yesterday. And he's even better than that now, I think, with the various issues for drivers in front of him. Powells started 4th, Pickford started 6th, and they were the two that really got held up, and Cameron Thompson started 10th. He was the other one that went through the gravel. So unfortunately, Matt Pickford out of the race, but I think everyone else has actually been able to continue. Has anyone headed into the pit lane? Not too sure. I think we may be just having the 1 retirement for the time being. There's the number 19 machine of Liz Walton, we haven't really spoken much about. Behind her is Darren Kell, that's the orange number 3 car. Darren looking to try and move up the order again. Black and yellow novice cross on the back of his car, and several other cars you can see there. You can see the amount of drivers who choose Mazda MX-5 racing, be it Super Series with the Mark 3 cars, or indeed the MX-5 Championship for the Mark 1 machines, which has a 62 car grid here this weekend in attendance, proving to be as successful as ever. MX-5 racing really is one of the big success stories of the BRSCC, and it's home to experienced racers and newcomers to the sport alike, and they can both get different things out of it. It's a great opportunity, particularly at the start of the season, to get a bit of extra track time ahead of whatever it is you're going to be doing through the rest of the year. We spoke about James Kell, who's doing Ginetta GT4 Super Cup this year. Well, so too is Nathan Heathcote. That's why he's out getting signatures. But as a former rallycross champion, he does have pedigree. That's why I'm interested to see what progress he can make from the back of the grid. He may now be able to make a bit more progress because the safety car is coming in. It was a fairly brief safety car interlude. We are back to racing again here at Brands Hatch. No overtaking before they cross the start-finish line, though. And one or two drivers a bit more awake and alert at the restart than a few of the others. Lyndsay in particular dropping back in 6th position. So the top 3 getting away from the next 2. We've really got away from the next pack of cars behind. But we are racing once more as they head towards Paddock Hill Bend with James Kell, your race leader. Joseph Marshall-Burks setting off after him. Will he have the pace to go after James Kell, though? Based on what we saw from James in race 1, I don't think many people have got the pace to live with him, but Marshall-Burks going with him for now. And then Jeremy Crook there defending his 4th position, Russ Lyndsay defending his 6th place, and I think that is Xavier Brook, isn't it, behind in the number 70 car. Again, not bad effort that, given he started 13th and didn't get very far at all on the initial start to race 1. George Crampton's a bit wide there in his pursuit of Jeremy Crook. That's the fight for 4th. Again, great to see George Grant up there inside the top 5 now. I think he had a top 5 all year last year, so this would certainly be a welcome return to form here for George. As he turns through clearways, a little bit tighter there than Crook, but maybe a bit too quick at the apex nonetheless, and just drifts a bit wide on the exit. So James Kell leads the first lap after the safety car restart, but I have to say Joseph Marshall-Burks is going with him here, so James is going to have to push on if he's going to hold on to the race lead. There goes the Russ Lyndsay trio across the start-finish line with Xavier Brook in tow behind. As go through Paddock Hill by James Kell. James Kell's off! James Kell bang into the tyre wall. What on earth happened there? That was a big shunt for the race leader and the dominant race 1 victor. And James Kell seemingly out of the race. Surely he won't be able to continue from there. Oh, no way. There's a lot of damage done to the front of the 33 car. And James Kell, another red flag unfortunately comes out, but that was bizarre. James Kell, I said he was under pressure from Joseph Marshall-Burks, but clearly he was feeling the pressure, just got sideways in the gravel. Well, race restart then here at Brands Hatch. Joseph Marshall-Burks inherits pole position ahead of Simon Fleet with the demise of James Kell. Lights go on, lights go out, away we go at Brands Hatch. And it's another good start from Simon Fleet, and this time he will lead into Paddock Hill Bend. It's a poor start for Marshall-Burks though, and George Grant, look at that, into 2nd place. Fantastic start from George. Xavier Brooks trying to go around the outside as well. They're all going to get safely through. Bradley Kent very close to the gravel, but does manage to scrabble his way around the outside. He's 3 abreast though on the brakes into Druid. Surely he's not stopping the car there. Where's he gone? I think he stayed on the track just about, but maybe that wasn't the quickest route through the corner. Down the hill we go again. That's Jim Hart in contact. Oh no, that was all a bit unnecessary. Jim Hart goes around and Jude Worley almost comes to a standstill to avoid him. That was contact with Chris Webster and somebody else, just 3 of them trying to occupy the same piece of road. And unfortunately it's Jim Hart that comes off the worst. So back through Surtees we go then. There's Alex Miller. He's had a good restart in the number 7 car. Dale Crowsley behind him, and then looking up the inside is the number 14 car. Now number 14 is Sam Bailey. That is the car that was driven by his son Jake Bailey last year, and that very car was able to take 7 race victories in 2018. Well, Jake has gone on to the race in the Mark 1 Championship now, and thankfully they had that spare car here at Brands Hatch. Sam's car too badly damaged, Sam's original car too badly damaged after his race 1 shunt to be repaired in time for this one, so they just rolled out the spare car, stuck number 14 on it, and off he goes. So Sam Bailey is in the race, but in a slightly different car to the one that we are used to seeing him in. Already charging up the order. Meanwhile, Bradley Kent is attacking George Grant here. So Bradley Kent's had a really good restart. He was on the outside line in the first couple of corners. I thought he was going to lose positions. He's actually ended up gaining quite a lot. Look, he's into 3rd position now as Bradley Kent. George Grant going backwards though, unfortunately. Xavier Brook goes through into 4th. So Grant finds a gap in line in 5th. He's got Jeremy Crook behind him as well, trying to take advantage of all of this. So I'm not sure there's a lot of dirt on the tyres of George Grant's car, and there'll be even more dirt on the tyres of Bradley Kent's car because he's just gone off. No sooner has he got into 3rd place than he runs out onto the edge of the road through clearways and traipses through the gravel trap. Many a great racing driver has done that though. It's so easily done. You go over a crest through the apex at clearways and the track just keeps on going to the right, and if you get a wheel on the dirt, that usually is disaster. So it's another topsy-turvy race this in the MX-5 Super Series, but we can now put Xavier Brook into 3rd position with George Grant back into 4th. 5th is Jeremy Crook, 6th Russ Lyndsay, and 7th by the looks of it Alex Miller ahead of Sam Bailey. So Sam Bailey into the top 10 already. having started 21st on the original grid. Of course, we've lost 1 or 2 after the various incidents earlier on. Side-by-side action there. That looks like Lyndsay possibly about to lose a place to Alex Miller, but Lyndsay will have the inside line again for clearways as Jeremy Crook dives to the inside of George Grant. That was a nice move, and he goes into 4th position now. Grant down to 5th. Meanwhile, for the race lead, we've got a battle on here for the first time really all weekend, with Simon Fleet under increasing pressure from Joseph Marshall-Burks, who has a look to the inside of Paddock Hill Bend, and Simon Fleet left him plenty of room there. He's still wheel to wheel though. Can Simon stay in front? No, he can't. Joseph Marshall-Burks goes through and takes over the race lead. So Joseph Marshall-Burks, your new race leader. He overtook Simon Fleet, of course, in race number 1 as well, when he was behind him in the early stages. But Simon, I think, knows that Joseph is maybe a little bit quicker than him, and actually Simon could probably learn a thing or two from following Joseph around and seeing where he is faster than him, and maybe pick up a few little tips along the way. Some free tuition maybe here for Simon Fleet as he sits in the wheel tracks of the race leader. These two are a country mile ahead of everyone else, because everyone else has been falling over each other left, right and centre since the start of the race, restart of the race I should say. 3 clearways again though. And Joseph Marshall-Burks, as I suggested might be the case, not really getting away here. The effect of the slipstream is such that unless you're sort of half a second a lap quicker than someone, you're not going to be able to overtake them and then just disappear up the road. There's Sam Bailey, he's now into 4th place. He's ahead of George Grant and Bradley Kent, so... no, that's not Bradley Kent, that's Nathan Heathcote, excuse me, Nathan Heathcote, isn't it? Yes, number 38, beg your pardon. 38 is not Nathan Heathcote, he's car number 22. So up the hill they go, and around the outside goes Bradley Kent. It's not helping that all the white and orange cars are getting themselves together out there on the track at the moment. And Nathan Heathcote is 38, I beg your pardon. On the grid sheet, he's listed as number 32, but he is running as number 38, apparently. They'll do anything to confuse us commentators these days. So Nathan Heathcote is the sort of car in the middle of this little sandwich. He's just ahead of Bradley Kent, he's just behind George Grant, but given that he started 22nd, in car number 22, so I wonder whether that's maybe where the typo came from. He is now on the verge of the top 5, actually. So Heathcote could well get on the podium here. Sam Bailey is moving into 3rd place there, and that's another place gain for Sam. Likewise, having started, he shared the back row of the grid with Heathcote, so they both made storming progress up the order, and Heathcote dives to the inside of George Grant. That was a really late decision to go through. I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised to see this from Nathan, not because I didn't expect him to be quick, I didn't expect him to be quite so racy. He is literally just here to get signatures on his licence. The best way to do that is stay out of trouble, don't race anyone too hard, don't take any big risks, and just bring the car home in one piece and don't break any rules. Well, here he is getting stuck in and after a podium, so fair play to Nathan Heathcote. Dear, that's Dale Crowsley and the number 11 car there trading a bit of paint as they came down the hill. That's Declan Lee, who was a non-finisher in the first race yesterday. I think that they've both just been overtaken by a recovering Clive Powell's, trying to recover from his spin on the initial start of the race. And then we had 1 lap after the safety car, and then there was a red flag, so we didn't really have any time before the red flag to regain any lost ground. The start-finish line then goes what is essentially the podium battle, although I think Sam Bailey will probably be able to pull away from them now. Whether Sam can catch Simon Fleet and Joseph Marshall-Burks at the head of the field, I know not, but we'll find out over the remaining few minutes of the race. Through Paddock Hill Bend, Crowsley there getting very, very sideways as he turns in. He's got lots of pressure from behind there from Chris Webster. Meanwhile in front, it's an inspired drive. This from Declan Lee, but he gets all sideways. I think got into the back of Clive Powell's. Oh no, there's more contact there with Chris Webster, and they are both in the barriers, aren't they? I think Webster just misses the barriers, but unfortunately Declan Lee will be facing, I think, 2 non-finishers in a row here. That was all a bit unnecessary. He got into the back of Clive Powell's, got sideways, and as he was all arms and elbows trying to collect it, Chris Webster, the luckless Chris Webster, sort of just clattered into him, and they both ended up going off the road. So more drama further down the order. I think that Webster should be able to continue. He was stuck in the middle of the road, but looked to be recovering. I'm not so sure about Declan Lee, though. That tyre will likely have done quite a bit of damage to the car. Let's see, there are probably going to be yellow flags up here at Druids as the leaders descend upon the right-hand hairpin at the top of the hill. And it is still very close between these two. Yes, there is Declan Lee's car to the side of the road, but no sign of Chris Webster's machine, so he has rejoined. Now Simon Fleet is applying the pressure here to Joseph Marshall-Burks, and Joseph just had a big moment there at Graham Hill Bend, and Simon Fleet sees the opportunity. He forces Marshall-Burks to defend into Surtees. If they really start holding each other up, though, I would not be at all surprised to see a certain Sam Bailey arriving on their tail, maybe bringing Nathan Heathcote with him. Into clearways, Marshall-Burks fending off Simon Fleet for now, but this is a real treat to see Simon this close to the front of the field. Out onto the main straight they go once again. Simon, I don't think he had one podium, had one third place finish last year, so second is already on for his best ever result in a Mazda. Can he get a race victory though, a debut race victory, and what a race to do it in as well. It's been a race full of drama. It's one they'll be talking about for quite some time, I'm sure. Simon certainly will be if he can get himself onto the top step of the podium. Even if he can get second place though, I think that Simon will be beaming from ear to ear. Another driver who really loves his racing and just wants to get better and have more fun every time he goes out onto the circuit. I'm sure he's enjoying this battle here with Marshall Burke. So again, it's a bit scruffy through Graham Hill Bend, albeit didn't lose quite as much time on that occasion. Doesn't feel the need to defend at Surtees. Simon Fleet certainly in his wheel tracks, applying the pressure, and Marshall Burks has already made a couple of little mistakes. And there's another one there, look a bit wide of the apex at clearways. That will be exactly what Simon Fleet wants to see, because that means he could possibly force him into an even bigger mistake and nip through into the race lead. There's Sam Bailey though, look, and he is getting a bit closer, and he is bringing others with him. I think that's Bradley Kent now back behind him though, ahead of Nathan Heathcote. I'm not sure which order the two blue and orange cars are in now. Across the line comes Clive Powell's, and that car is still running okay despite the couple of bits of contact it's had in this race. And it's the 55 car behind, applying the pressure, trying to find a way through. Down the hill, back up the other side again, and there is Darren Kell with Dale Crowsley, who's slipped a bit further down the order than he'd like in this race. Left-hander at Graham Hill Bend they go. Sorry, 66, not 55, the number on the car behind. And that is Jake Swan-Dixon. First round of the season, it always is tricky keeping up with all of the changes of livery and new drivers and new cars that have appeared over the winter, but it's great to see so many new cars. When you think about where we were 12 months ago here at this meeting, where we were barely into double figures for the opening Super Series race, and now look at it, big grids, close competition, fantastic stuff. This is the final lap though of what has been a slightly shortened second race because of the red flag earlier on, and Joseph Marshall Burks has Simon Fleet still breathing down his neck. I don't think Sam Bailey is going to quite be able to close in on them, but there he is, not that far back, with it is Bradley Kent in fourth and Nathan Heathcote fifth. But if these two, if there'd been another lap or so and these two had maybe been a bit closer together and sort of forcing each other to race side by side and to drive defensively, then I think the others would have got there. They're just going to run short of time. I think there's Bailey with Bradley Kent behind him, and Heathcote a little way further back now, actually in fifth position. But up towards the final corner we go then. Joseph Marshall Burks about to take his first ever victory in the Mazda MX-5 Super Series, and it will be two different winners from the first two races of the season. James Kell was on for the double, made the mistake, went into the barriers, brought out the red flag, and that has opened the door for Joseph Marshall Burks, who wins race number 2 here at Brands Hatch. Simon Fleet in second place, and third place across the line is Sam Bailey. You know, he was only a second and a half off the lead at the end of the race. So Marshall Burks, Simon Fleet and Sam Bailey, your top three. Then Bradley Kent and Nathan Heathcote from the back of the grid into fifth. George Grant, Alex Miller, Clive Powells, Jake Swan-Dixon and Darren Kell round out the top 10 ahead of Dale Crowsley. Russ Lyndsay, Javier Brook, Cameron Thompson, Liz Walton and Jude Worley. Jeremy Crook, Declan Lee, Chris Webster, Jim Hart, Matt Pickford and James Kell, all non-finishers. Unfortunately, 6 drivers who did not get to the end of the race, whilst the fastest lap was set by Bradley Kent on his way to a 4th place finish. A great race though, and a great victory for Joseph Marshall Burks.
Joe, that's an overwhelming result for you.
Oh, I'm absolutely buzzing with it. You know, it's my first time here as well. Wasn't expecting this, to be honest, but well happy with it.
You had a lot of pressure though from Simon. He was keeping you true there.
Yeah, I did, to be fair. But I kept calm, you know. I stitched to the tracks, I did all right.
By all means, it means you now have to start on pole for the next one?
Yeah, I know, that's the bad thing, really. I mean, it's supposed to be a good thing, isn't it? But I first start a bit backwards and work the way through. Instead of starting on pole, but we'll see how we go.
Well, we wish you the best of luck and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You said you'd be the happiest man in the world if you got second again. So are you?
Guess what? second. It's what a great start to the season.
Does that mean you're going to be pushing to make it even better and get a first?
Well, I was trying to get first in that race. Joe was holding me up for the last sort of 4 laps. I was trying to nudge my way through, but he defended very well. So, yeah, if I get a good start in the next race and get my nose in front, we'll try and keep it there all the way.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, Simon.
Thank you very much.
Sam, from a man that got a DNF yesterday to come third, that must be overwhelming.
Yeah, no, the team said they wanted me 12th or better. I was hoping for 8th or better, but I guess I got a little bit lucky with 1 or 2 of those incidents, so I'm not going to take all the credit, but I'm happy with third.
I think you found quite a few gaps there that you took advantage of.
Absolutely.
So obviously you're going to be starting third behind these two. Do you feel you've got the pace off the pitch for them?
quietly confident, shall we say.
Brilliant. Well, we wish you the best of luck in the next race.
Thank you.